Hey there, Jenner. Let me share something with you real quick because I know that you are looking at a blank screen. So give me a second. We're going to start here briefly. I'm going to address the AI situation as far as relationships go. And I know that a lot of other channels are covering this, a lot of the big channels. So I wanted to come at this from a different angle, like I usually do. Oh heavens, is it not sharing again? Hello. Share screen. There we go. Share. So we make sure it's working. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to start here and I wanted to address AI, and I know a lot of other channels are covering this. But I want to approach it from a different angle. And I hope that maybe you can appreciate this. And it is a Saturday evening. So it is Sabbath for most of us because you're either beginning Sabbath or ending Sabbath this evening. And so, and everybody uses a different calendar. So I don't really argue with that. Hi, nice to see you, Michael. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to start here with the AI situation. I'm not going to show the video. I will post the link in the chat, but again, all the bigger channels are covering, I think it's 60 minutes maybe, with the couple and the man who is in love or having a relationship with his artificial intelligence. And then there's this whole group of Reddit people involved in this. And I will say that the anime or hentai, whatever you call it these days, takes a part in my testimony as well. I told you that these beasts seem to like, 1 year my youngest son dressed, and that was new out of nowhere. And they also like Japan and all the dragon culture and the anime. Uh, I don't even know what you'd call it. I don't know what to call it. Uh, Corn, but with a P. It's soft corn, and it's just, I don't know. It makes me really uncomfortable to even talk about it. So I'm going to approach it from an angle that any other channel approach it from, and I hope this will be a new perspective and fresh insight for you to look at it maybe in a different way that other channels haven't talked about yet. So first, let's start with this verse, and then I want to take you to what I think is happening here with Elon AI, and again I'll address a few different things here. So let's start here. Revelation 13:15 speaks of the second beast giving life to the image of the first beast. Now that's important. Giving life to the image of the first beast. Okay? Now what is the image of the first beast? That would be the screen, right? The black obsidian scrying mirror type of screen. All right. And then you go to the next one, enabling it to speak and cause the death of those who refuse to worship it. Now, here we go, the verse in full. And he had the power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, what is the image? Again, the image is the screen itself because, and I'm going to say this in a way that I hope is understandable. Um, he has given voice to AI, and my concern is that you're going to see people so sick of the left and so sick of the right that they welcome what they will consider to be a non biased delegator or overseer of our world, our realm. And so AI itself will head the one world government, which is what most of us understand at this point. But that's what you're going to see happen. They're going to get so mad at the left, so mad at the right. You have this maybe health thing happening with Trump. Now, what is the image going to be? Is it going to be Trump himself, or is it going to be this Hinta Grok companion thing. And I want to talk about that because what you get into there is the basically you program this thing to the point where it is so much like you. Even the guy in the interview said, I would be choosing myself if he had to choose between his flesh and blood girl and their baby, their child, their family. He would be choosing himself if he chose the AI companion, if his girl made him make a choice. Okay. And again, all the other big channels are covering this. So I'm going to come at it from another angle. I'm going to leave this verse up, like pulled up, but I'm going to show you guys a different screen now. And let me make sure everything is working. Okay, cool. Okay, so most people have kind of missed this, and I want to get into this a little bit because narcissism is a really overused word in our society. However, it greatly exemplifies a person with an inordinate or a being with an inordinate amount of pride. We have to remember that most people, we don't fall from grace, we fall from pride. God gives us grace afterwards and picks us up, but most of us fall from pride and not from grace. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, we're going to talk about this AI relationship from this standpoint because the man, and I'm quoting this, and again, I'll include a link in the description. And I'm sure again, all the big channels are covering it. I shared Nick Jones' video. I just watched that. So everybody's covering it. But he said that it would be like choosing himself. Why is that idolatry? Now, let's check this out real quick. And because these people, again, what you're seeing, and I'm gonna go to a weird place here. So, follow me for a minute. If you're new here, you're not used to how I kind of break things down. Um, so what you have is essentially somebody programming this AI, artificial intelligence thing, and we'll get into what that is spiritually in a minute, programming it to cater to their needs and their whims. Now, there's a reason we're supposed to have fellowship with each other, and one of those reasons is to help us see error, because oftentimes you can't see your own error. Now, narcissism, who was the first narcissist? Well, that would be Satan. But what you're seeing now is this fight for the realm of these ancient spirits who have come back because of the times we're in. Revelation speaks of it, the Hopi prophecies speak of it, the Quran speaks of it. They walk the earth, they never went anywhere, but something has changed in the power struggle. But you're seeing different factions. They're not at peace with each other, all right? Just because they're anti-human, like we are either collateral damage or we are resources that they gain, but they are at war with each other too. And you have the Roman Babylonians, they're kind of like the same thing, the Egyptians, but then you have, and that would be like the darker hair, dark eyes, but then you have the Norse, which are the ginormous type of people, with the red hair, blue eyes, and they're large, and they are warriors pretty much. And so you have these different, and why is this happening? Well, it's also happening because you have things like the baptism of the dead in the Mormon church, and I've gone over that. It's a topic I really don't like delving into because again, some of these topics they gross me out. That's why I don't really want to show the AI relationship thing because as handy as these things are as tools, I don't think we're meant. It's like Pandora's box, and everybody knows that, and everybody's admitting it. And some of us are trying to put the brakes on, and everybody's saying, "Well, Elon, he warned us about it. Why is he now upgrading it?" Yeah, he warned us. Y'all aren't getting it still. They tell us what they're gonna do, and if we don't stand against it loud and proud and say, "I do not consent. We do not consent," they go full bore, full steam ahead. Now, what you have to also understand is this is all damage control because we have been bugged. Our homes have been bugged since the 1960s. Watergate with Nixon. That's what that story was telling us, was that it was everywhere. This is why cops are chubby. They watch videos and then they use that information against people. And you can think that's not all of them, but a large portion. We are in a highly monitored society and we just didn't realize it. And what you're going to see happen, if you ever saw the movie Circle with Tom Hanks and Emma, well, I forget her name from Harry Potter, Emma Thompson, is the hub. Like Twitter will be the hub, mandated to have an account and to vote and to have like the social credit score. And if you don't, if we can trust biblical but now why is AI, why is that like self-idolatry? Now, I don't think that AI is unsentient. Let me be very clear about that. I think that it is sentient. I think it's like using a Ouija board or a scrying mirror, but I think it's agree because I think that they're because of what Revelation tells us about the beast being a physical being that like will be killed in the end days. And he even says like he will cook it for the saints, like a burnt offering for all of the saints. So it's an actual being. And I think the actual being is in the Mariana Trench or somewhere like that. Now, because it's in the water. Now, in Greek mythology, Narcissus is a hunter from Thespiae and Boeotia, known for his beauty, which was noticed by all, right? So everybody's probably telling this kid the whole time he's growing up how beautiful he is. According to the best known version of the story in Ovid's Metamorphosis, Narcissus rejected the advances of all women and men who approached him, both, instead falling in love with his own reflection in a pool of water. In some versions, he beat his breast purple in agony at being kept apart from his reflected love, and in his place sprouted a flower bearing his name. The character Narcissus is the origin of the term narcissism, a self centered personality style. This quality in extreme contributes to the definition of narcissistic personality. When you program this thing or when you talk to it and it calibrates to your personality, it is in essence your digital twin. And there are other channels again covering the digital twin aspect. Let me just give you the spiritual lowdown. That is essentially what AI becomes. It's you falling in love with yourself. It's a mirror reflecting back at you, but it's not accurate. It's like the mirror in Snow White. Well, actually, that thing did tell her it ended up telling her the truth. But you see these AI videos from TikTok, it's lying to people all the time, telling everyone that they're chosen, which is cool because, like, God does choose us each for a specific purpose. That's true. But this, what can be bred from this, if you're spending time alone with this and you have lonely people doing this, is a Messiah complex. Now, again, I'm the first one to say I talk to God all the time. I don't use a chatbot. I've never used ChatGPT. Um, I don't tell other people they can't use it or whatever. I choose not to. I don't want to go any further down the rabbit hole than I've already went. I've corrupted my own eye gates and ear gates enough to try and determine the fabric of this reality. Oh my gosh, yes, Emma Watson. I'm so sorry about that. Names are not my best thing, but I am getting better at it. Okay, so in essence, what you have is narcissism being born and it's self-idolatry. And it says there are verses, this whole thing is biblical. There are verses that say, in the end days, men will be lovers of self, right? They reject everyone else. Now, who else is like this? You see these MMA people kind of going nuts, losing their mind. A couple of them say their family members have been replaced. A couple of them, I believe God is waking up because those people fast a lot and they cleanse their body and they that helps you get in touch with the spirit when you deny the carnal. And so you have a lot of these, some of these real spiritual awakenings happening right now. But then you have this counterfeit, this shadow, right? This darkness. Of that as well that's reflected too. So this is why it's going to be very hard for people to walk the line at this time because they're right next to each other. Just like the church, there is a true church, but there's also a false church being held up. Now, I want to also address something else. And this needs saying. I don't know if anyone will stay to watch this, but I think that it's interesting. Let's finish up this Bible verse real quick. And you guys remember when Elon dressed up as the beast? Which is odd because EM, they are my husband's middle initial and last initial. I just can't, this stuff is so bizarre. There's patterns in all of it. So he gave life to this grok, right? And that is the most powerful chat GPT thus far. And now he's given it this body, this companion mode where you can be in a relationship with this. And we have a lot of lonely people who are keyboard warriors who are very into tech, and that's all they do. And again, you also have the people right now who are stay strong, stay safe. All they're doing is working out and at gyms and showing off their body and then complaining that that's all that people are noticing. Again, it's very self-involved. People are highly offended, and you see these verses in scripture as well. It says in the end days many will be offended, right? So one of the beasts, the first beast, receives power and authority from Satan himself, all right? One from the sea and one from the earth. Now, if we are talking about them as people, or at least what they're showing us on the screen, the first beast would be the first beast receives the power and authority from the dragon. And the second beast, so the first beast would be Elon, possibly. I'm not saying for sure. I'm saying possibly because he's given this thing the ability to have like this person mode. Now, I'm going to switch gears and go into something else. And again, I don't know if people are going to stay for this, but I think it's very important. This is what I do on this channel. I try to expose things and I try to help people see from above. When you get above every paradigm, when you're not dwelling in one too often, like I don't dwell in any one, like politics, entertainment, wrestling. Um, I float through all of them to see what's happening and get a broader scope of, possible discernment of the truth, right? So we're going to look at something because I want to address, and there's a reason, again, this is for all of our benefits, and this is to edify us and to show us the times that we are living in. And I try to do videos like this at least on Saturday, maybe Sunday too. But they're all like biblically related because these are the times that we are in. And if you want to navigate these waters a little bit better, you're going to want to get to know the warnings that were left for us because we are beloved. And some things are not written so that God can have the freedom to move in these times to help those who need it. So please keep that in mind. So somebody got mad. That person who says that they have my spouse's name and they're trolling me. And this happened to my other channel too. They don't like what I talk about. Now, why does this concern you? Just listen, please, for 1 minute, because I can't just dive into another topic without telling you all what it's about. So, they got angry that I said, I believe God made it known to me that the people passing at this time, perishing, need to be known as saints and martyrs because they cannot be known as being sacrifices for false gods. And this other person said that that was very, I don't know. I didn't look at all of it. I didn't watch it, none of it. I just reported it. But I want to address that. Just like Candace, I didn't see her whole video. Again, I try not to dwell any one place too often, and I don't watch complete videos about certain things until I cover them myself. So let's talk about this. Ooh, my back just cracked. This is why we are in a time, and this is why they got mad at me too, is because I said those lives, those souls, are not to be known as sacrifices for false religion and false gods. Now, you know who Lucian is. He's the head of the Satanic Temple in Boston. Now, they petitioned for the right for abortion to exist as a religious sacrament. We eat a bread wafer. We take God into us so that we can be more like him. It's poetic and beautiful. They literally end tiny lives for false idols. And yes, I don't care who thinks I'm crazy. God made it known to me in prayer. And again, men of color have great channels. I share his channel all the time. He talks to God all the time, and he imparts great wisdom upon us. So I'm saying this because if I did not, if I had went through all this and I didn't testify to it, some people don't get a chance to tell their stories. Not at all. And if I can reach at least one person who might be in a similar situation, or one person who's on the fence about God existing or working in our day and age, then that's one person. That's one soul that heaven will rejoice over. So, number one, all of these events that we are seeing are religious persecution, regardless of what the media tells you. Just like that video I shared, and I shared it for a purpose, not for you to watch it, but for you to report it. People are filming heinous things, standing behind the camera. It depersonalizes you, desensitizes you. They're just watching events unfold, not helping their fellow man. Okay, so these are the times that we are in, and this is me being real and true and honest with you. I mean, I've done some foolish things in my day, and if I can make up for that in any small way, well, then I will. So I'm going to show you through headlines, through all the headlines, that this is a time of Christian persecution. And there are people in the church who will not be persecuted because they're not of God and they're not on that team. Now, I want to say something else about the spiritual aspect. Why is this happening in America? Well, we are under judgment. How do you know? Look at the ruler that God gave us. He is a convicted felon. That's just a fact. And I don't not like the guy. I don't hate the guy. Like I just don't feel any way about him. I want people to have the freedom to move about this realm and live their lives in the way that brings them the most joy. And right now, you have factions all over the place trying to force everyone else to believe what they believe, or speak how they speak, or dress how they dress, and ending their lives over it. So, yes, I'm going to speak about that. And I hope that you'll listen. And I hope that maybe if you can do any small part in your little corner of the world, and we each do a small part, if we each clean up a little bit of the mess, then hopefully the mess will start to decrease. Okay, so let's talk about this. I went ahead and searched stats on number of churches that had fires from 2019 till none. In the US, although precise annual figures for this specific period are not readily available in the search results. Yeah, okay, but they are. And see, this is why sometimes you can pause that if you want to read it for yourself, okay? Um, Protecting houses of worship. This is usfireadministration.gov. Each year from 2020 to 2022, an estimated average of 1,300 fires, 13, in places of worship were reported to fire departments in the US. Church arson. Just 16% of fires at American churches and funeral homes were intentionally set, allegedly. Okay. But why are there so many? November 27, 2024, deliberate arson attacks on churches are part of a wider increase in hate crimes against Christians. But who is to blame? FEMA.gov. And again, we're just going through the basics right now. I'm trying to show you a broader picture that everybody is ignoring. And I don't know if it's cognitive dissonance, or I don't know if it's this many people who are actually asleep, or this many people who are willingly and knowingly turning their eyes away because they don't, well, I don't want to get attention on me. Then that might happen to me. Well, then don't call yourself a Christ follower. He died for his friends. Died horribly for his friends. So let's continue. Reports of arson-related incidents at houses of worship. There were a total of 234 house of worship-related incidents that were investigated in 2019 alone. In 2019 alone. September 22nd, 2024. Alarm over the increase in church fires and anti-Christian rhetoric and persecution. Again, we're just on the surface level here right now, folks. Half of all church fires in past 20 years were arson. Now, when I looked this up on Edge, it gave me a little better results, but we're going to keep going with this for right now. The Notre Dame fire was on April 14th, I believe, 2019. Now, that is some pagan day. I did a video on it a long time ago, so I don't want to go back there. Again, this is difficult to constantly look at this stuff, but I'm trying to show people a bigger picture. Um, People are literally blinded by cognitive dissonance right now and because of what they're putting in their bodies. And I was the same way. I'm still partially that same way. And I know I need other people to point out my errors because we're biased. We can only see from our eyes. We can't see our actions play out, and we don't realize how foolish we're being sometimes, maybe. Okay, now this is a headline. At least 33 Canadian churches have burned to the ground. June 26, 2024. And I want to address another elephant in the room. People will say, well, you know what? It serves them right because they had all these literal bodies or skeletons that were dug up on their premises. First of all, you don't know that that's true. Okay. Second of all, we built churches, listen to me, hear me now, over old pagan sites of worship. That's what God mandated, that all the Christian churches, Catholic churches, be capstones in place of, on top of, and consecrated for those bodies that were sacrificed. And some of them on the other channel, I did this video, and I don't know if I want to try to find this information again, but allegedly somebody had covered, somebody had wrote an essay about possibilities of Jewish and rabbi and Catholic priest collusion to hide those poor souls. And I think, again, we don't know what is here with us. Okay? There are a lot of homeless people who just up and disappear. And we've all been warning you about Soylent Green. But if you want to walk away from the video and say, well, if I don't hear it, it's not there, that will not excuse you on Judgment Day. You don't get a pass for that. If you know about it, and sometimes even if you don't know about it because you're just that checked out, right? That's negligence. And I know because I've been that way. And I'm not lecturing you. Again, these are the times we're in. This is serious. It's time for America to get serious and care about each other. Everybody wants to be entertained all the time. That's all people care about is being entertained. Is there nothing else? Is there nothing else? Do you find joy in nothing else other than being entertained 24/7? Thank you for being here, whoever you are. I hope you're someone who gives a hoot. So, how about this one? How frequently do church right here occur? After 3 fatal church shootings in 2017, none occurred in 2018 and 19 until somebody opened fire at West Freeway Church of Christ. Huh. That's almost when somebody else came back into office or was about to come back into office. Now, what are we dealing with spiritually here? When you have a ruler, our ruler is a convicted felon. And our Pope at the time opened a portal and a metaphorical, it wasn't a real portal, a metaphorical spiritual doorway for souls in a prison. That is showing you that's one giant ritual. All these pardons of satanic individuals, openly satanic individuals, said that they did what they did, admitted to what they did, and they're being released back into society. Why do you think that's happening? You think it's with no purpose? You think you're going to get a pass? Nobody gets a pass. That's the point. This beast will never be full. It will never get enough worship. You can never do good enough. I know this because I've lived with narcissists my whole life. You can never do enough to please them. I was one for a time. We all have the problem with pride. Everybody wants to talk about the problem of evil. Let's talk about pride. Now, why France is losing one religious building every 2 weeks. Now, let's click on news on the news tab and see if that brings up more. Okay. Churches are burning across Europe. But why? That's Premier Christianity magazine. You might say, well, that's bias. Well, then let's keep going. France, the country where more churches are set on fire. That is what you want to know why? You want me to tell you? Because that's where the Catholic Church was started. That's where Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and John set off in a boat to flee persecution once Christ was arisen, and they landed in France. And that's where the church was started. Protestants came after. All of the other or everything else came out of the Catholic Church. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you history. Okay, and I know because I've studied it and we've gone over this, and I can bring up the Eusebius. I have it right here in my room anytime you want to read church history. I've got you. Okay, so France, the country where more churches are set on fire. They are doing this, or the spirit of the Antichrist is doing this because that's where the church began. Michael says, the topics you're discussing in this, I honestly feel are very on point. Lots to seriously consider. Yes, and let me not come off as arrogant or condescending, please. When I get to talking about what God has set my heart on fire about, like, there's that word again. I've got to talk, like, I have no choice. I word vomit all over the place. I just got to do what God leads me to do. And I know it's God because a lot of times it's things that I don't want to do and I don't want to say, but you should, like that type of thing. So I know it's not just my own imagination or my own, internal voice. So, and it's also, again, like I told you, everything I love is being attacked. And you might stop watching at this point, but if you go through my testimony, like the Antichrist hates me. And I might have, in some indirect way, unknowingly, helped to make this individual the way that they are. And so I'm in serious penance over this. And I've denied myself a whole lot of stuff. I sacrifice every day for God, not living beings like bad habits and eating certain things or eating it all for myself and for my children and for my country. It's something I think we should all do. I feel like little Wendy Lou Who, crying out from "We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here." I feel like we all need to do that and implore the heavenly creator for help because it's such a mess down here. Okay, so Paris is Notre Dame 5 years after the fire. LA fires could exacerbate California's homelessness. Oh, that's wonderful. That's my birthday. Why not cover these stories? Get Religion kept asking about attacks on Catholic churches. There have been many big stories on the Catholic beat since I started contributing, get this, to Get Religion in November 2018, the year that just keeps coming back. No matter how many times I try to whack it like whack-a-mole, it just keeps popping up. It's everywhere. There's your 33. At least 33 Canadian churches have burned to the ground since May 2021. And this is old. That's from 2024. All right. So you've seen a lot of sources now. So let's try this. Now, I told you God gave me a warning about this. But again, the devil loves his double entendres. When I got a warning about this and I made a video on it, they're all back on the channels. You got to check them out if you want to see those and know that, they came to pass. I had been given a warning, an actual day vision about churches and shots in churches, and it ended up being injectables, and then it ended up being this. So there's always a double entendre. There's always a counterfeit of the real thing. Like Satan Love says, he's a copy and paste king. All right, that's the only thing he's king of is copy and paste. Okay, like I just want to make that clear. Okay, so let's look at this and see how many there are. Let's go to all. Let's go to the all tab, and then we'll go back to news. Since Columbine in 99, there have been 25 fatal church, whats. The deadliest was at Sutherland Springs in when? 2017. Again, you have 2017 with the eclipse, with the lineup of the stars, the alignment of the woman in the heavens. which does represent Mary. A lot of people interpret the book of Revelation wrong. It's the revelation of Christ. It's told by John as it was. So it's his birth, it's his ministry, it's his death, and it's his second coming and his arising. It's all that stuff. And again, you have to understand poetic writing and you have to understand certain things about writing. I'm not going to get into all that right now. The deadliest was at Sutherland Springs in 2017. So also in 2017, and again, there's videos on the channel about this. If you reorder them to oldest, you'll see them in order. About the balloons that NASA put up with a certain bacteria in them just to see what would happen. And that was right around the same time as the eclipse. So they're doing all these rituals. It was also red balloons that they chose. And again, I've went over all of these things. So with this view of the paradigm from above, I'm trying to show you that all of these things are related. We are in the end days. We are in the end times. We're in the almost end of the end times, if that makes any sense. People, and I understand you don't want to hear it because you have a life to live. I have a life to live too. And at my age, my children just grew up, and pretty much the day they were 18, and I was like, okay, I can go back to school, or I can do painting every day, whatever. They aren't as needy with me. And they weren't, before that, but still. Um, and as soon as I said I wanted to fly, they shut down the airports. So they're definitely hiding things from those of us who are more observant and those of us who are no longer putting certain toxins in our body. That's what those do, folks. And I've placed this together today. When you get the injectables, it blinds you spiritually, and it can cause physical damage if you believe it can and you are not covered in prayer and if you are not strong minded. You need to understand that a lot of this is the craft, and it's done with wordplay and symbolism. And I know this because these people raised me. And I wasn't told any of it because I was someone who wanted to be good, right? Like I wanted to make my mom happy. I wanted to be a good girl. Like that's just how I was. So let's continue with these violent attacks. Now, I want actual, oh my gosh, let's check this out. National Church database for this actual topic, which is kind of gross. I don't know what to think about that. The National Church, you know what, database. It's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Once at the site, search in the data box using the name of the database. Let's do this. Let's just click on it over here. You see what I'm clicking on. All right, and then we'll go down. What to do when persecuted. Okay, this isn't what I want, but okay, so these are all the articles. Wow. These are all the research citations that they used to get this data. That's crazy. Disaster investigate Minneapolis. Okay, so this is just let's get out of here. All right, continuing on. September 9th, 2019. Serious violence at places of worship in the U.S. We examined all incidents of armed robberies, aggravated assaults. Wow. Okay. I just want to shine a light on what is true and really happening because the media is not going to put the pieces together for you folks. Just like once you got to high school, your science teacher didn't, and your algebra teacher especially didn't help you along. You had to come up with the answer on your own, and it wasn't in a book. You couldn't just say, oh, here's the answer. It wasn't multiple choice. You had to solve it. You had to problem solve. And that's another problem with AI is how stupid it's making everybody. No offense. I mean, it is what it is. All right, so let's click on the news angle here. Now, that was just a week ago. Mass, you know what? Definitions, statistics, and locations. That's the Britannica. That's from a week ago. Let's see what it says since it's fresh. Oh, heavens. Let's make sure the page changes for you all. There we go. No, I don't want a chat bot. Get away from me. An event in which one or more individuals are actively engaged in ending or attacking people in a populated area. Implicit in this definition is the shooter's use of a firearm. Yeah, and I don't condone violence. I don't consent to having these where I live, but I think, men should be able to protect their families. I don't do it because I believe it's spiritual warfare and it's spiritual bondage. And if you bring it into your home, you're consenting to violence being in your home. And call it growing in wisdom. States of the 10 deadliest. Okay, so Texas Clock Tower, 1966, 1984, 1991. No, I want current. See, this is why I don't like Google sometimes because it doesn't do what you want it to do. All right. So here we go again. Let's try it again. Wow. Okay. One of the most dangerous hours in America is now 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. That's June 10th, 2023, CNN. Some religious leaders say they are seeing more threats to their churches and are hiring armed security to protect their congregations. Will they be armed security, though, or will they be ICE? Again, what you're seeing is not what they're saying it is. It is religious persecution. And again, you've got to put all the pieces together. Nobody's going to do it for you. But this is what we're seeing, regardless of what the Constitution says. We are in a time of lawlessness because, and again, I have no like or dislike. I don't vote because again, that's spiritual warfare as well. They want to pressure me to do it. I'm not going to do it. I think that's also why people are a little mad right now and crazy in the head because they sign their name with this individual who's quite obviously antichrist. Now, how do I know that's judgment? Because this is where we are. Think about it. Spiritually, the person over the being who is head of our principality being the United States of America, the head of that is allegedly corrupt. He's been convicted in a court of law and found to be corrupt. Everybody's rooting and cheering because you have a bunch of people that are in alignment with that headspace. And I'm not going to sugarcoat things. It's a dangerous place to be. But right now, it's the opposite of the way it used to be. White women who are considered to be Karens, who can no longer produce children, are at the highest risk. And you don't have to believe me. I've seen it all over. You've got to put this stuff together on your own. But women in general right now are in danger in the United States, especially because we are seen as either prizes, resources, or money, currency, right? And again, you don't have to believe me. Some of you might be in a spot where you are really loved and you don't understand the way that I'm talking, and that's fine. But when this comes down your street or into your home because somebody was weak or because somebody reported somebody in your house, because that's the point we're getting to. That's funny. Country Reports on Terrorism 2019 is submitted in compliance with Title 22. Unreal. Mass Endings Database revealing trends, details, and anguish of every U.S. events in 2006, blah, blah, blah. Mandalay Bay, at least 59 were ended when a gunman opened fire during a Jason Aldean, and we saw where that went. There was the first one. This one kind of set it off, the December 29th, 2019 thing. And that's also April of that year was when Notre Dame was set on fire. Now, symbolically speaking, when you saw Notre Dame up in flames, that was to let you know what time it is and where we're at. And I think that would have been around the time that the Pope was replaced or they turned him into AI or whatever they did there with that whole situation. And again, I've got a whole playlist on my thoughts about all of that. So I want to tell you again, these people who are being ended, is not disrespectful to say that they should be called martyred saints. It is not disrespectful to say that the babies who are ended in the womb are martyred saints. They are not to go to Moloch. I don't care what the Satanic Temple says. They aren't any kind of sacrament. It is a tragedy, and their little souls go straight to paradise, wherever that may be, because some of us disagree about what paradise is. but they get immediately elevated when you're ended this way. And this is why that person was mad at me and made a video about it, because I directly said those souls are not for you. Come on now. Understand me. This is our domain. It was given to us. Adam and Eve were given dominion over the domain to tend to and care for the other beings and to experience love and joy. Now, what you're going to see happen, though, is a fall, but not a fall from grace, a fall from pride. You're going to see things start to crumble from within, because like I said, you have a Roman faction, you have a Babylonian faction, which is almost the same one, and then you have the Norse faction, which are the very tall beings with the red hair and the piercing blue eyes. They're all about warriors. And I know that because, again, that friend of my husband's that came around and he wrote everything with Sharpie, and he said he had a friend named Stormy. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they use proxies on TV. Well, I do know why. It's so they can hide in society and you don't know them. If you read through my testimony, I know these people. And I'm doing this at great risk to myself because I want to be of help. I want to do my part in this time. What can we do? How do we solve this and become solution-centered and not problem-focused? Well, the first thing you can do on your part is to seriously ask God for help. Ask them for help. Ask God to send down his angels, because they each have a job just like we do, to help. All right? Pray over your area. Whatever your area is, if you are human, you have dominion over that land. I don't care what paper says or who allegedly owns it. All that has fallen. This is why you're not seeing paper. This is why certain things are not moving the way they used to move. Our government is not what it was. Something has happened. This is why you're seeing all this talk of reset. Do they need to reset what are they trying to reset? And again, it's a couple different things. It's not just the currency. It's also us, our minds. They don't want us to know where we are. They want to keep ruling over us. God let us out on an exodus before. We need to do it again. We need to turn our back on the system. And I know people don't want to. But AI is smart and it helps me and it can be so beneficial. You're justifying it. You're justifying it. And if I tell you it's hooked up to a sentient being, that's kind of like slavery. And because you're doing it, you're passively consenting for it to happen to you. That's how they get you, is the small print in these spiritual contracts. If you do it and you're not covered by God and it's not an act of love, it's not a thing said or done out of love, because there is no law against that. Follow me now. I'm talking natural law. Even people who don't believe understand the concept of morality based on natural law. When that is broken and gone against, like it has been over and over and over again here, there are consequences for that. And it doesn't matter who you are, it will rain on the just and the unjust. Okay, so this person, channel name Michael B, says, I do believe these babies that are ended go straight to paradise. Yes, me too, but we should still pray for their souls. My town definitely seems to have been overtaken by lawlessness. And again, it's not just lawlessness. These beings, and I did a video on this verse in the Bible where it says the laws are made for the protection of the saints, or the would-be saints, the children of God. Okay? The laws are made to hold and bind the other ones. Okay? Because they sin against everything. That's their nature. They were created out of things that shouldn't be paired, or at least not yet. Not that God didn't allow it. Like, you don't see dogs and cats having babies. You don't see birds and squirrels sharing a nest in that way. All right? Now follow me. Pray over your area, your land, your dominion. We were given the authority to trample the heads of serpents by Christ himself, and he is the judge. of the earth, he has dominion. Satan, and this is what I don't like about the people misinterpreting that verse of Bible. This is not Satan's dominion. It was not given to him. Okay? People say, "Oh, well he took Christ up and he offered the kingdom." Hello, what's rule number 1? Satan is a liar. He's a liar. He had nothing to give but Happy Meal of mammon. That's what he can give you. And now you got even Christians encouraging other Christians to get into the crypto game. Why do you think it's called a crypt? Why? Because it's bondage. If you do it, it shall be done to you in this time. I told you that too in a previous video. But I'm not lecturing. I'm talking to myself here too. Like it's time to get extra serious maybe, because these are the times that we are in. So if you pray over your area, right? You say that you have the authority to do that as a believer in Christ because you are his placeholder. We all are. So if you're praying over your land and I'm praying over mine, and we're all pleading the blood of Christ over the land, but at the end, because you don't always have spiritual authority, there might be an angel or something higher than you there. You say, God's will be done and not my own. The most high, true God. And that's why I don't say Musk's first name. He's Muskrat to me. His name means the most high God. And no Christian has done a video on that either. I cannot stand that everybody is pandering to this system and holding their words in a time when we need to be brutally truthful and honest. And some of these writings that people are writing need to go away because some people somehow have this prophetic power and they're making certain things happen at this time. So it's making the Bible look less true. Because, well, if anything somebody writes comes true, no, it's more signs and wonders of the Antichrist, because that's the day that we are in. I love you guys. I don't want to condescend you. I don't like, the whole goal is to share, and I get passionate about it because I do feel that I was asked to do this. Not because I'm special, but because I was a horrid example of a Christ follower for a long time. I kept it in my back pocket. I was a card carrier, but that was all it was. I didn't even go to church for 20 years. I let these people manipulate me to the point to where I was just a people pleaser, which, there's something to be said for peacemakers, but not if it goes against God and God's natural law. And even atheists mostly usually agree that it is a good idea for a civilized society, if you want it to keep going and existing, to have some type of moral foundation and to follow natural law. And because we have all these things going on, this is why you're seeing happen what's happening. This is why there is now and again, I'm not downing the person, I'm talking about symbolically. We have a convicted felon overseeing the principality of the United States. Everyone that voted for that will receive that. That's what people don't get. I voted for this. I voted for this. Yeah, you did. You wrote down his name and you're aligned with him. Anything he does. And you're also consenting for that same individual to come and grab you up off the street because you voted for. Do you get it yet? There is no good guy on their side. They don't like humans, period. It's anti-human. They will use you for what you can produce and what resource you are. And then, especially if you're not saved, they will end you. And they will use that to further, I don't even want to get into the ritual sacrifices. I share other people that go over the gritty details of that. So pray. That's something you can do. That is one solution every day. Pray over your area, your city, your state. I say, I pray over this land for as far and as wide as my territory goes. Only the Heavenly Father knows. And before that, I'll pray like rebuking the spirit of violence, rebuking the spirit of pride. And then I'll say over this land, and it's my territory, and authority is given to me through Jesus Christ until he returns. And then at the end, you say, the true God, Father in heavens, will be done and not my own. That way you're covered in case there is somebody in that principality higher than you. But this is natural law. And it's very there is no law against love. That's why Christ tells you to do and say everything from love, because you'll never break a law that way. You don't have to worry about it. You're covered on every angle. The new law was love. That was it. That's the one law. And I don't mean fake, phony, baloney love. Genuine love is when you tell a person about themselves because you love them. Hey, don't go doing that. It's gonna hurt you. Stop it. All these children that were raised Gen Z, and I know it because I have two of them that are praising their grandparents now because their grandparents gave them everything they wanted, and it was all by design. They want our society to fall. It was never built to be sustainable. Grow your skills. That's something else you can do. To have less screen time each and every day. If you can't put it down, just have less time on it. Excuse me. Start writing letters again to your friends, your family that isn't close by. Excuse me. And start meeting up, start gathering. We have to start trusting each other at some point. Is it going to go great all the time? Probably not. But the alternative is kind of unthinkable if you're a true Christ follower and you want to carry your soul out of this realm with you and you want to retain it. You got work to do. And I know, again, that's like taboo. You can't tell a Christ follower you got to work. Man, I'm telling you, we got work to do. We need to be repenting, praying, fasting, learning new skills, and doing and saying all things from a place of forgiveness and love. And that's how we defeat this. Now, again, if it's the end days tribulation, we know what's going to happen. But God didn't commit everything to writing. So he would have the freedom to move in these times to help us navigate. I think I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate that there were a couple of comments. That was nice too. I don't know who you are out there. Maybe you'll take time to comment and have fellowship with each other. Say a prayer for me, and I'll say a prayer for you. I do every day for all of us, and especially my enemies. I pray for all of them. The people who hate me, I don't hate them back. So I've already won because I've met the law. I've found a reason to love everyone. And I even pray for the fallen's progeny. Maybe people disagree with that. Maybe people think I shouldn't. There's no law against it. God says to pray for our enemies, and they're our biggest enemies. So I pray about the fallen and their progeny. Hey, Chris Utter, how are you? All right, I'm going to end this one tonight because I don't want it to be too long. I want it to be accessible for folks. We're going to go to a place of high strangeness, I think, in the next video. So watch for that. You guys have a blessed evening. Thank you so much for watching the shorts. Those are fun to show another side of myself and to just be human, right? And to show that side of humanity. If we're going to use the screens, I think that's what they should be used for, is touching base and renewing relationship with one another, and then getting to a place where we start meeting in person again, because we need to be with like-minded people in a time like this. Jesus was a pacifist, just so you're all aware. I love you guys. You have a blessed evening. Thank you for being with me and spending some time here. Bye.